Hey guys, Kurt here, and today, what are twin flames? So if you've been on my channel for a while, this is going to be a little different than the other What Are Twin Flames video that I did a little more than a year ago, I believe. You may find this very helpful and interesting still because I've thought of more kind of clever ways to explain things that you might find enjoyable. If you're new to this channel, welcome. You're about to get something that you've never had before, a science-based explanation of twin flames. And what I want to show you is that twin flames is the fundamental truth of the universe itself, the very existence of our universe. It's the marriage of two basic principles of physics that explain the very existence of this universe, twin flames. That's how huge this is, guys. This is a really big deal, and it can answer a lot of questions about not only what physicists are asking as far as where did our universe come from and how do you explain how it operates, functions, but also it'll explain a lot of questions that spiritual teachers have and spiritual masters, and there's even science-based spiritual minds, talkers, teachers out there who are always seeking to explain consciousness and how that works and how it can explain how our universe does work. And so people like, say, Greg Braden or perhaps Joe Dispenza, or even as of late Eckhart Tolle, are looking at consciousness and the study of what that is, which is the soul, which is your twin flame, right? You and your twin flame are the same soul, but the study of the soul, which is consciousness, from the level of science and physics, is absolutely essential to answering that age-old question, where did this all come from? And twin flames is the answer because it brings together two very fundamental principles of how the universe came to be. Those two principles are the singularity, which is source, right? Source, oneness, the singularity. And it's what all things sprang from. It's where the universe came from, okay? And the other principle is duality or relativity, opposites, right? I got a this and I got a that. In contrast with the singularity, there is no opposite. Okay, so in spiritualism, you might have heard in the past people say things like, you just got to be one with yourself. You got to find that inner oneness. I'm one with all things. And you hear people say that and you think, what are they talking about? Well, it's that. It's that the soul is a singularity. It is one. There is no opposite. And that'll make more sense to you by the end of this video. And then there's yin and there's yang. Yin and yang, light and dark, right? Opposites. And you see that kind of concept in spiritual circles. So you've got the source, you've got the one, and then you've got the yin and the yang, the opposites. And you see those things presented in spiritualism. Well, you also see those things presented in science. How about that? You've got a singularity. And a singularity, by the way, in physics is what drives black holes. It's the very the engine, driving force that causes a black hole to be. Also, it's what they believe the Big Bang sprang from. Okay, so it's a thing called a singularity. And it's infinitely dense, it has infinite gravity, and it's getting infinitely smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay? Now, the other force in science, in physics, is relativity. Albert Einstein called it his general theory of relativity, opposites. Okay, so you've got the singularity, which is what they believe the universe sprang from. That's what caused the Big Bang. A singularity is also the engine that drives a black hole. It's called a singularity. And then you have relativity, duality. There's a here and there's a there. There's past and there's future. There's light and dark, positive, negative, up, down, hot, cold. Okay? And so in both of these principles, in both of these disciplines, both spiritualism and science, in both of those disciplines, you have these two things which seem to form the fundamental basis of both of these disciplines. You have this thing where it is the one, and then you have this other thing where it is the opposites. So this, there is no opposite. It's single. It's one. Okay? And then this, it's duality. There's opposites, and there could be a sliding scale. There could be many things. If you think about like positive versus negative, like think of like your radio dial. Like the lower frequencies of the radio dial are negative and the higher ones are positive. Well, there's all these things in between too. Or like light versus dark. There's black and there's white, but there's all sorts of different shades in between. So you can have all those different flavors and varieties in between the duality. And so that's what allows our physical universe to exist. And that, in a nutshell, philosophically speaking, is what constitutes the fundamental principles of our very universe. You have the singularity, the one, and you have the duality, relativity, opposites. And it's true in spiritualism too. You see these principles all the time. And somebody who is having a very deeply spiritual experience describes it in very similar terms. So when you are going within, if you are going within infinitely, the experience is going to be like, let me start over. If you're going within infinitely, if you think about the geometry of that, okay, if you follow me, if you're going inward somewhere, if you're going into something and you're able to go into that thing infinitely, it has to be, geometrically speaking, that you're getting smaller and smaller, okay? And that's what a singularity is in physics, in science. It's getting smaller and smaller and infinitely more dense. However, a singularity, the more smaller and denser it becomes, the more gravity it has. So there's also this energy output that is expanding around it. So you have those two things kind of going on. Well, when you go inward infinitely in a spiritual sense, so just like in science, in the discipline of science, you have a singularity getting smaller and getting more dense. In the discipline of spiritualism, you're going inward infinitely, okay? And there's gravity energy output in the scientific discipline that seems to be expanding and growing. But in the discipline of spiritualism, it's your consciousness that is expanding and growing the more that you are going inward. And that's the best way that I can describe it. Unless you have had one of those experiences yourself, that might not make sense to you. But that really is what like a spiritual master is going to report to you, or anybody who's had kind of those interconnectedness kind of experiences, okay? And then a quick interesting side note about the yin-yang symbol. So the yin-yang symbol has the two, dots, and people sometimes they don't really understand what is being taught with the yin-yang symbol. But what they're teaching you with the yin-yang symbol is that each side of the opposites, of the relativity, of the duality of yin and yang, within each one contains a little piece of the other. And this has actually come to be realized in the discipline of science also through a phenomenon called quantum entanglement. And we're going to talk about that later in this video, how science is even recognizing that with particles, one iota of the other particle is in the other, and that there is this interconnectedness even between the opposites, okay? And they've recently proven that through the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. So those are the two basic principles of both the discipline of science and spirituality, and they're both the same types of principles. And when you look at what twin flames are, the two of those things, those two things coming together explains twin flames. I'm going to try to cover these things during the video. Some of them I'll spend a lot more time on than others. And also, as I'm going down the list, I'll tend to revisit components from some of the ones that we've already talked about. I want to encourage you to watch this video all the way to the end. I know it's a little long. If you don't, it's not going to hurt my feelings, but you're not really going to understand twin flames scientifically if you don't see the big picture first. And I'm going to cover these concepts in a way that should be very easy for you to digest. So let's talk about the first one. What is you? Now, ordinarily, when we think about what that is, we think of perhaps mind, body, and spirit, or body, mind, spirit, right? Physical body, mind, soul. Body, mind, spirit. Well, let's talk about these specifically and be very clear about what they are. Now, the physical body, we're pretty clear about what that is. So let's just go right to this. Most people say body, mind, spirit, right? Let's talk about this for a minute or two. I'm calling it the astral body. Now, on my videos and in my teachings with my students, and for those of you that are new to this channel, I am a twin flame teacher. I was able to attract my twin flame to me, and I've coached over 2,000 people. You can go to my website. There's a link in the description box below. If you want to read testimonials from my students who attracted their twin flame back to them, got their twin flame to come be with them, and you can sign up for some coaching with me at my website. Also, I have a whole bunch of free videos on my channel, and I've made it very easy for you to find the good stuff. So you can go digging through the videos section of my channel, okay? And it'll be kind of hard for you to find the good stuff. Just go to the playlists menu on my channel. There's a playlist called How to Get Your Twin Flame. How to Get Your Twin Flame. And all of the videos where I talk about twin flames, like this one, are in that playlist. Go check them out. So, what I tell my students is that I use the words mind, astral body, thought, ego, personality, right? Identity, entity, right? I use those words kind of interchangeably. But in this part of the video, I'm going to be very clear that each of those things kind of does have their own meaning, okay? And the all-encompassing term is astral body. Now, the astral body specifically is this kind of energetic body, and the astral body is chakras, telepathy, metaphysical energy, right? Thought, emotion. I think I said chakras. Yeah, I think that was the first thing I said, okay? And it's controlled by the mind. Thought, emotion, telepathy, Reiki, metaphysical type energy, chakras, okay? Thoughts, emotions, right? Kind of that whole ball of wax. And then there is the ego, which is kind of this energy body that hovers around it. It's your energy field, and it's retained thought and emotional patterns that you've been retaining since you were a child. And some of them can be buried much deeper, and we call that the subconscious mind, okay? And then the ones that are more like floating out towards the surface, that's the conscious mind. It's what you're well aware of, okay? But it's all there. That's the ego, the identity entity, or the identity entity, or personality, right? Your sense of self, right? Remember, what we're talking about right now is what is you? And most people, they believe that they are their mind. They are this ego, this identity, this personality. Okay? I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a truck driver, I'm a school teacher, I'm a cook, I'm a bartender, whatever. I'm a trash man, whatever it is. I'm a mom, I'm a dad, sister, grandmother, daughter. I have these political beliefs. I've been to these places. I've done these things. Here's what I think about this or that, right? That's your identity. That's your sense of self. That's what you believe you is. And that's the whole problem. This is really just traditional spiritualism. The twin flame journey is really just the true spiritual journey. Okay? And it's like I said earlier, this is real spiritualism, 10,000-year-old, tried and true spiritualism. It's not going to be the pop culture-y, like fast food spiritualism, New Age spiritualism that you see on the internet. It's going to be real spiritualism, and it's the study of consciousness. Why is that? Because the soul is consciousness. You don't need to fix past life wounds with your twin flame. You don't need to heal your childhood trauma. You don't need to fix the identity. You don't need to fix the ego. Okay? You're not broken. You just have a case of mistaken identity. This is all about what is you. You is a soul. When you do the thing that we call die, your body ceases to function and your mind ceases to exist. What's left? You, the real you, and its consciousness. Watch this. There's thoughts and feelings going on, and then there is a you that is aware of thoughts and feelings. Why do I feel this way? Why am I thinking this? Why are all these thoughts? Why do I feel like this? Right? It's the consciousness. It's the awareness. How can there be a you that is aware of thoughts and feelings? What is that? What is that? Think of an amoeba. Just to use them as an example. An amoeba, you can fit hundreds of them on a speck of dust. Do they have higher thinking functionalities? Not really. No, not at all. But they are life. They are self-aware. If one is dying, like if something happens to it and it undergoes kind of a drawn-out death, it's going to know it's dying. It's going to know that it's in danger. How does it know? It's just an amoeba. How do you know? What is the knowing? How do you know you exist? What is that? What is the awareness? The very consciousness, not the thoughts or the emotions. Thoughts and emotions are the mind or the astral body. There I go again, using those words interchangeably. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the awareness. That's the soul. And the soul is the source. It is the singularity. The felt experience of your soul is inner peace, Zen, nirvana. That's your twin flame. So when you see the pop culture message about twin flames out there, and they're talking about healing childhood wounds and fixing karma and stuff like that, that's all thought or emotion. Those are all beliefs about what constitutes the self. That's the personality. But you are not a personality. You are the very awareness, the consciousness, your very life. What is you? You is that, the awareness. And again, this is 10,000-year-old spiritualism, real spiritualism, consciousness. You and your twin flame are the same spirit. You are the same soul. That's what you got to do. You actually have to let go of all of these beliefs that you are hurt and your twin flame makes you feel good or makes you feel bad, or that you expect some kind of an outcome with them. You have to let that stuff go. You have to let go of the physical person. And you have to let go of the identity with all the thoughts and emotions and beliefs about the person. You are not the beliefs. You are not your mind. You is soul. And that's what your twin flame is. And that's what this is all about. That's why you met them. You met the other half of your soul. Your soul is trying to get your attention. And again, this is the same thing that they teach in real spiritualism, traditional spiritualism. You are not your mind. Now, in the twin flame community, when you went through that dark night of the soul experience, you know what they call that in traditional Zen spiritualism? They call it ego death. So, you got ego death, dark night of the soul, same thing. Same thing. That's all this is, guys, traditional spiritualism. So you just need to be clear about what you is. You is the soul. That's what you is. And that's what this is all about. Now, as long as you're identified with the astral body, the mind, you're going to push your twin flame away. And I'll show you why right now. Now, the mind, the astral body, is rooted in this universe, whether physical or metaphysical. And I guess you could say it's part of the metaphysical universe, okay? Right? Metaphysical energy, telepathy, chakras, right? Those types of things. It's duality. The mind, the astral body, operates on duality. Albert Einstein called it relativity. There's a here, there's a there. Faster, slower. Hot, cold. Light, dark. Positive, negative. Past, future. With your mind, it's I agree, I disagree. I like it, I don't like it. Or so thoughts, but also emotions. Feel good, feel bad. I like it, I don't like it. Nobody's ever made me feel as good as my twin flame. Nobody's ever made me feel as bad as my twin flame, right? Duality. The soul, if you stop believing that you are the ego, you don't need to fix the ego. You don't need to heal childhood wounds, clear karma. You don't need to do that stuff. You need to stop believing that you are your mind. That's what this is all about. It's traditional spiritualism. The soul is none of those things. You actually leave the mind behind as your sense of identity, right? The ego, the personality. You energetically shift out of that and be the soul that you already are. And it's not an emotional experience, the soul. It's Zen. It's peace. It's one. It has no opposite. The soul is being. Okay? The mind is duality. Feel good, feel bad. Right? That's the mind. That's the astral body. And I'm not saying that it's bad, but that's what it is. That's just what it is. Okay? So, the soul, which is a singularity, in order to exist here, it has to polarize. Why is that? Well, it's because this universe operates on duality. And I'm not going to go much more down this rabbit hole. At this point in the video, you could ask me some more questions, some of those deeper questions, like why? Why does it have to be that way? Just go watch my other What Are Twin Flames video if you want more information about that, like, okay, why do we have this universe then, right? But it basically has to do with Source, God, whatever you want to call it, wanting to experience itself as itself. It cannot do that in singularity. It has to have duality to experience itself. So you could just go watch my other What Are Twin Flames video. I'm going to leave it on my How to Get Your Twin Flame playlist. And the thumbnail is 2 candles. And it's got What Are Twin Flames. And so you can just kind of go dig through that playlist and find it. It's a great video. But this What Are Twin Flames video is kind of an update and a different way of looking at it. But anyway, in order for your soul, which is a singularity, to exist here on this plane of duality, or as Albert Einstein called it, relativity. So the soul, which is a singularity, there's no opposite. It's not feel good, feel bad. It's not emotional, the soul. It's not. It's oneness. It's being. It's wholeness. It's peace. There's no movement. It's still. It's stillness. It's quiet. It's awareness. The mind, in contrast, is an oscillation. Feel good, feel bad. It's moving around. Okay? It's opposites. It's duality. It's relativity. The soul is not. It's stillness. Now, in order for the soul, which is a singularity, stillness, oneness, in order for the soul to exist in this universe of duality, it has to polarize. The soul is a singularity. But the singularity cannot exist here unless it has an opposite. Every body is and has a twin flame. And you have to, again, in order to exist in this physical universe. This is your physical body, and this is your twin flame's physical body. Your astral body is the positive polarity of your soul. Your twin flame's astral body is the negative polarity of your soul. This is how the soul comes to exist in this physical universe. Okay, so you've got the singularity of source, which is consciousness, which is the soul, which is stillness. It does not oscillate. It goes inward infinitely. And then you have the duality of this universe. In order for that singularity to exist here, in this plane of reality, it must polarize. Now, here's why your twin flame runs away from you. It's energy. Think of a magnet, okay? You are one being, you and your twin flame. You are one being. There's not two of you. You are one soul. There's not two of you. Because of the way that duality functions, the way that relativity functions, opposites, okay? In any energy system, energy always travels from positive to negative. Generally speaking, energy always travels from positive to negative. Okay, and I'm not talking about, like if you're an electrician or something watching, there's debate about how that works with electricity. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about energy in general, okay? So just go with me. Don't pick hairs with me over this analogy. It is a scientific fact that in energy systems, energy travels always from positive to negative. That's a fact. You are the positive polarity of your soul. Your twin flame is the negative polarity of your soul. And it's one being, it's one soul, okay? Just to be clear, it is not like this, okay? Well, my twin flame is running away from me because my positive is facing his positive. And so that, we're pushing each other away. It's like a magnet, right? Where you have the two positives, they face each other and then it pushes away. Well, I know, but Kurt, don't I just need to flip around and face the positive to the negative like a magnet so that we attract each other? No, it's not two magnets. It's one magnet. You are one being. It's like this, okay? The energy traveling from the positive pole travels to the negative pole and pushes, okay? The negative pole is pulling. So the harder you push, the harder they pull. That's how an energy system works. That's just Mother Nature, okay? Now, what's happening? Well, if you believe you are your mind, if you believe you are this identity, all the hurt, all the pain, all the childhood wounds that get drummed up by your twin flame and all that kind of stuff that all the pop culture junk food spiritual people are talking about, if you believe, if you identify with the mind, and you approach it like that, they're going to keep running from you. Angry at your twin, feeling love for them, right? When you're with your twin flame, it's not romantic. Go to my playlist called How to Get Your Twin Flame and watch my video called What Is It Like to Be With Your Twin Flame? It's Zen. You guys are the same soul. So when your twin flame comes in to be with you in union, as you guys call it, it's Zen. It's not romantic. It's nirvana. The felt experience of being in their presence is peace and Zen. There's no romance. Now, your actions may be romantic, so to speak. There's touching and holding hands and kissing and that kind of stuff still. But the energetic experience is what I'm talking about. Just go watch my video called What Is It Like to Be With Your Twin Flame? I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole here because I did a whole video about it. But the reason your twin flame runs is because you're trying to figure out what to do, or you have expectations of how they're going to act, how this is going to go. Oh, we're going to be together. You're searching for answers. You're trying to figure out what to do. You're engrossed in your feelings. You are energetically shifted into ego, into the mind, into the astral body. You're still identified with that sense of self. You got to get out of that and shift into being, and you can't think your way there. Okay? You can't figure out how to do it. It's energy. Go watch my other videos, sign up for some coaching at my website, do something other than trying to figure out what to do about it. It'll make sense to you if you watch my other content or sign up for some coaching with me. But it's being, guys. It's soul stuff. It's not mind stuff. If you're engrossed in your mind, in the astral body, energetically towards this person, it's going to push them away because of the polarization. You are polarized at the astral level with your twin flame. If you push, they pull. That's just the way it works. It's energy. It's duality. Einstein called it relativity. That's just how it works, guys. Now, if you stop identifying with the duality of the astral body and instead change what you believe you is to what you really are, which is a soul, and it's more like you release the belief that you are the mind, you are the hurt, you are the pain, you are the ego personality. It's more like energetically releasing that and be the soul that you already are. That's when your twin flame shows up and starts chasing you. Okay, and again, I've coached a couple of thousand people, and this keeps working, guys. You and your twin flame are the same soul. You got to do soul stuff, not healing, not clearing karma, not fixing your inner child. You don't need to fix the mind. You need to stop believing that you are the mind, astral body. That energy is what pushes your twin flame away. Now, I've pretty much brought everything together up to this point. If you don't want to finish watching this video, no problem. You should have a good grasp on what twin flames are now. It's the singularity attempting to exist in duality, the soul existing in this physical universe as a duality. Why are there twin flames? So that you can exist here in this universe. Otherwise, why do you meet your twin flame? Well, they trigger your spiritual awakening. This is a spiritual awakening. This is traditional spiritualism. That's all this is. You have to let go of the belief that you are the identity entity, the ego, and instead be the soul that you already are. You met the other half of your soul. Your soul is trying to get your attention. And what the other pop culture teachers who talk about twin flames are teaching you is a bunch of mind stuff. Psychology, metaphysics, right? Always they're giving you that type of advice. That's why that stuff doesn't work. And I'm not bad-mouthing anybody. That's really not what I'm doing. I'm just pointing that out. Like, I think those other teachers really want to help you, but they're not. They're not helping you. You are not your mind. You are consciousness, eternal life. That's your twin flame, guys. And that's what this is all about. It's really just the true spiritual journey. Now, if you want some other interesting homework to do, here's a few more talking points that we can cover quickly, because it's interesting to talk about the science of twin flames. So some of you might have questions that are going to come up based on everything that we've talked about up to this point in the video. So first of all, time. What is time? There is no such thing as time. Okay, so you might be asking questions about things that your twin flame is doing at a particular time versus what you're doing and how that works. There's no such thing as time, especially at the level of the soul, and that is scientifically true. Albert Einstein is the one that proved that time does not exist. There is no such thing as time. That is actually scientifically true. Also, go learn about the double slit experiment. Go learn about the double slit experiment. How can it be that the soul can exist in my body and in the twin flame's body at the same time? The double slit experiment explains that. Also the fact that there is no time. A particle can exist in all places at the same time. And if you study consciousness, which is the soul, again, serious minds Serious minds, there's an ongoing conversation. For those of you that are new to this channel, there are very serious minds trying to have a very serious scientific discussion about the soul, about consciousness in a scientific way. Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, right, myself, there's lots of other people talking about it, trying to marry science and consciousness, which is spiritualism, together. And there's these things that have been shown, these phenomenon that people have discovered over the years in the study of science that kind of explain that. And so consciousness, which could be described as source or a single point, right, infinitely dense, the infinite consciousness, right? In the double slit experiment, they proved that a particle is a wave unless it is observed. And the reason for that is because a particle can be in all places at the same time. Notice how I put the word time in quotation marks, because there is no such thing as time. And this is basically what the double slit experiment proved. So the particle can be in all places at the same time. But if you observe the particle, it becomes a particle. And you're going, well, how does that work? How does it turn into a particle if I observe it? Scientists do not know why it is like that. They just know that it is like that. And the way that they proved that is called the double slit experiment. Now, there's a gentleman on YouTube by the name of Arvin Ash. I'm not affiliated with him. I just like him, and you will too, because he takes these very hard to understand scientific concepts of physics, and he explains them in layman's terms so beautifully. You got to check him out. Arvin Ash, he'll explain time, he'll explain the double slit experiment, quantum entanglement, that's another thing that he talks about. Arvin Ash is his name. So go check him out. Quantum entanglement. Now, after you've watched this whole video, if you go watch Mr. Arvin Ash's video about quantum entanglement, you're not going to need me to explain it to you. You're going to look at it and go, by George, that's twin flames. Oh my God. And it is twin flames. Watch this. In the double slit experiment, there's one particle that has an up spin, and there's another particle that has a down spin. That's a polarization, guys. That's duality. That's relativity. There's a positive and there's a negative. There's one that has an up and there's one that has a down. It's polarized. And when you switch them, they both switch at the same time. And when you learn about quantum entanglement, you're like, that's twin flames. What the hell? And they actually proved that there is quantum entanglement. It really is real, quantum entanglement. So it's very, very fascinating. I would highly encourage you to go watch Arvin Ash and learn about those things. It explains a lot about the universe that we live in. And when you look at twin flames and how the soul, which is source, which is one, is polarized, and you see the energy between the two, it makes perfect sense that it works like that. It makes perfect sense that these phenomena are taking place. Why, we might not know the reason, but we can understand twin flames better when we see physics through that looking glass. This last thing, the conscious versus the subconscious, this is just kind of a pigtail. It doesn't really matter. Basically, it's just my observation that we, as the positive polarity of the soul, if you're watching, you're the positive polarity, okay? We embody the subconscious, and your twin flame is the conscious. So some people have asked me, well, how come my twin flame never really realizes that there's this connection between us? Why do they run away from me? Why don't they know that there's twin flames? Why aren't they sitting there on YouTube watching twin flame videos and I am? Well, it's because they're the conscious aspect of the soul's mind, which is polarized, right? So that magnet, that picture of the magnet that I was showing you earlier, and you are the subconscious. And I used to explain it the opposite, but lately I've come to realize that it really is where we, as the positive polarity twins, are the subconscious, because if you think of the way that the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind operate, just in an individual person, it's really where the subconscious mind is driving what the conscious mind is doing. People, they tend to react to deeply buried, deeply rooted subconscious beliefs that they're not aware of. But the subconscious mind is there operating all the time. And the subconscious mind is linked directly to your higher self. So it just kind of goes to show you the relationship within a person is the same with your twin flame. So for example, you could be pining for your twin flame and clinging to them, right? And they're running from you hard because you're really identified with that ego personality, the identity entity of the astral body. When you let that physical person go and you have like a deeply spiritual experience, that's when they show up. That's when they start calling you, chasing you, talking to you again. They don't realize that you had some kind of a shift. You do, but they just kind of respond to it. You're the one that shifted energetically, internally, and they just kind of respond to it without ever realizing that there's a deeper connection between the two of you. Well, I guess the best explanation is that you're the subconscious and they're the conscious. And subconscious is the higher consciousness, even in your own mind. It's connected directly to your higher self. And we already know that to be true in the general spiritual community. So that kind of explains, if anybody, sometimes I get asked, why is it that they don't really consciously, my twin flame, they're not aware of the connection, but I am. It's because of that. And again, I used to think that it was the other way around. I used to think, well, you're the conscious twin and they're the subconscious twin. But I think the reason that I said that is because of the word conscious is like awareness. I'm more aware, I'm more conscious, but that's not really how the mind works in an individual person. The conscious mind could be like on an individual person, you could be somebody who's saying, hey, I'm really tired of being broke, but subconsciously you have all these hang-ups about money. You think money is bad. You get mad when you see somebody who makes money. So you have this subconscious belief that money is bad. But consciously you can't figure out why you're broke. Well, it's because of this disparity between the subconscious and the conscious mind. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that for a minute. It's not really going to help you. It just kind of explains why your twin flame, they don't really know the connection like you do. It's because they're the outer conscious part of the mind. Okay, that's kind of what they embody in this twin flame connection. So you are one soul, you are technically one mind, but the trick is on your individual level, you have to get out of identifying with the mind. That's how you get your twin flame to chase you. That's Twin Flames 101. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you're new here, I want to encourage you to go watch all of my videos on my How to Get Your Twin Flame playlist, including the other video called What Are Twin Flames? And I'll see you next time.